Hi, I'm Peter Haddock and I'm here at O'Brien Contractors, a business I've been following for over a decade, and I'm joined this time with Tom O'Brien, who's one of the directors. And Tom, I used to come here over a decade ago with actually Peter and Mick, who obviously are one's your dad and one's your uncle. The business has continued to grow, hasn't it, in all that time, the last few decades. What has changed, though, is your adoption of technology and your continued focus on driving down costs and everything like that. And you've now introduced a new system called AGTEK. But tell me a little bit about the journey so far from yourself as a second generation.
So I've been involved in the company for 15 years now. When I first started, we were predominantly Trimble. We've now moved into different areas. We use Leica machine control, Topcon, and obviously we've just adopted AGTEK to use.
And so that journey is gone from mixed fleet to mixed technology. What's the reason for that, Tom, and why is that benefiting you?
We can get a model and move it forwards very quickly onto site and into the machines as a model, which brings its efficiencies.
And that for you is really important. It's a highly competitive market out there, but your customers have been with you again for a long time as well. How is the customer journey changed now that you've got that AGTEK and you're able to integrate whatever machine control system that they want on site?
Yeah, so when we're tendering a job, we look to produce models which we then feed into the tender, which we submit to our client. We can then demonstrate what we're trying to achieve through the models, so they've got a visual of what they'll get at the end.
And that part is backed up well by quite an extensive team that you've got here. You've got a team of people in the office doing the AGTEK work. You've got surveyors that are using surveying technologies, the latest equipment there as well, haven't you? Talk to me about all of that process and how it now is almost glued together with AGTEK.
So AGTEK has a number of different functions, so from cut and fill to measuring drainage, curbs. So everyone from our estimators uses it through to our modelling engineer and the surveyors as well, checking changes and things like that throughout the project.
And so when we look at the delivery of that, you've now adopted that across the business. Yeah. What's changed in your approach to tendering and commercially changed in your approach when you talk to customers now?
The key is with AGTEK is the simplicity of it. So previously it was mainly engineers who would be able to measure stuff, CAD drawings and things like that, whereas now it makes it more open to the estimators and the surveyors, and they easily can get the information very quickly. What that allows us to do is give our clients the information very quick, whereas before it would take a longer period of time.
So when we're sharing that information with clients, obviously they can also see that model at tender stage, and when you win the project, obviously, you're then taking that onto the site. Now, we hear a lot about machine control and people need to design for machines. You know, they don't need to just design for the project. And there's always a gap there that causes some problems in the past. That's all changed now, hasn't it?
That has all changed, yeah. Now, obviously, we've spoken about the tender process, but once we win a job, we then create the model, which then gets exported onto the machine. The drivers can then talk to the engineers, and if any adjustments need to be made, it's done very quick.
And those adjustments are really important, aren't they? Because we have things like the weather in the UK, but we also have clients changing things as projects go on. How quick is that process now, and how quick can you actually give an update to the clients?
Now, previously, we would be looking at over a week sometimes to measure some changes, but now we can do it in a matter of a day, and we can then submit that to our client. We can then discuss it with them, the pros and cons to the change, and if further changes need to be made, they can be made very quickly, which benefits everyone involved, because then that allows us to keep production up on site and not stop production.
And I think what's really important is that visualization, isn't it? So, you know, you can actually go onto Google Earth and play with AGTEK and the actual site model there, and people can see that. And lots of people don't necessarily have to be in one room. They can be anywhere, almost in the world, can't they? It feeding into that process and that discussion.
That's it. Obviously, Teams, Zoom and things like that all aid this sort of thing, really, and it gives everyone a clear understanding of the job. And Google Earth, being able to overlay onto Google Earth, is great assistance with that, because it gives the general perception to the client of what it's going to be like.
And there's a cool thing that I like, folks. There is literally a little model that drives around the actual site as well. I guess when you're showing that to some customers, it's kind of, you know, makes them take a step back and go, what am I seeing here? Because it's a real site as you drive around, isn't it?
That's it. It makes it seem a lot more complicated than it is, whereas really AGTEK makes it simple to create, fast, and then we can then give that visualization which everyone wants, because often our clients, they aren't necessarily from a construction background, they just want an end product, and if they can see that, then that aids them in getting that. And if it's not quite right, then we can make the changes and we can give them the end solution that they want.
So we've got all of this stuff coming together. We've got the models for the 3D machine control. We've got all of the players in there that you're capable of doing. We're feeding these models into the machines that are right for the machines. How has that impacted your operators as well?
Well, the operators are now very involved and they take an active approach in machine control, whereas at one point in time, obviously some operators were adverse to it and weren't really interested, whereas now they can go to different areas of the site, see what the end product is, see whether they're high or low, if there's a batter, pond, road, then that allows them to plan their works better, place materials in the right place, so don't put stockpiles in the middle of roads where they're going to be formed and things like that, really.
So the whole site management has changed, and it's a more integrated approach. And I think the operator is the heart of the machine. It's the brains inside the machine. The operator, that's really critical to construction. And I think when you've talked about that more involvement as well, it's empowering for an operator, isn't it?
It is, yeah. It gets everyone involved, and everyone enjoys it now. And people can make their own decisions more, as opposed to an engineer having to traipse around a site and try and mark everything out, whereas now you can turn the machine on, the model's in it, and they can go straight away.
And of course, all of that, it's more sustainable, because we're not sending people on the roads burning fuel to get to sites to do something for half an hour or whatever. We've got things going in to machines, two-way communication from the office as well, visualization, and I guess, you know, your productivity and efficiency is going to have increased, and idle time drops as well. Yeah,
that's it. Definitely efficiency increases a hell of a lot, because it's generally right first time, which everyone wants. So that saves money. That means we can keep our costs down and pass that on to the client, and also bring profit to the company ourselves.
So it is all about the journey that continues here, decades on from when I first came to see you, and great to see you in the business now, leading that charge for the technology as a younger person for the next generation. Tom, fantastic to see it. Next time, let's get on site and see it working for itself, shall we?
Definitely. Cheers, Peter.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Cheers.